So I decided to transform myself into the perfect woman through online dating sites. And of course, she's explained a little bit, I am a performance artist, which helps explain why I would do that. But I always base my performances on something that's bothering or interesting me, something where I'm like, okay, I'm not sure I understand this cultural whatever. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to do it, but my way. So there was a point in my history where my father, my mother, and my stepfather, who was no longer married to my mother, were all dating people from other countries that they'd met online. And I thought, that's very, very strange. And I thought, I did some research on it and looked into, like, what is this online dating? Because I wasn't interested in, I just didn't care if I dated or didn't date or whatever, just meet people. But there's this, like, go online and find a person and describe who you are and then match that up with some other description of another person. And so I looked into it, and seems like people actually like to know less. Less information is better, because then you can fill in all the gaps. And so I thought, well, what if I was just nothing, right? I was like the perfect woman. Just tell me who to be, and I'll be that. Right? That'd be great. Well, maybe not so great, but interesting. And I also came to this conclusion. My dad did end up marrying his wife that he met in China. He met her through an online dating site. And she was going to be coming to the U.S., and you have 3 months to decide whether or not you're going to get married. Whoa. But they've been dating online for 2 years and talking on the phone and chit-chatting. All right. And he was trying to allay any fears we had that she was going to, I don't know, rob our family, or I don't know, whatever. So he was saying, she's a really nice person, and we've been talking online for 2 years, and she's a good person. And I'm like, okay, that seems cool. And I'm like, is she gonna miss her family? China's really, really far. And he went, yeah, well, yeah, of course, she's gonna miss her family, I guess, but she wants to come here. I'm like, okay, and the food is gonna be weird, and that's gonna be big. And I realized she wasn't a real person. She was like still like an imaginary person that he was excited about, but like her coming here was like, like the reality of it didn't settle in until she really stepped off the airplane. So anyway, I decided to do a project about it, and I signed up for 60 dating sites. And everything from Big Black and Beautiful to like Plenty of Fish, OK Cupid, just everything. And there's a variety. There's a large variety of websites you can use. And for each one, I'm like, I'm your perfect woman, or I can be. Needless to say, people hated me in the chat room saying, what makes you think you're so perfect? I'm like, I'm not, yeah. And I invited men to go to my website and describe their perfect woman. They could ask for anything. And I was going to have the public vote and pick one submission, and whatever it was, I was going to change everything in my life to be what they asked for. My hair, my teeth, my body, anything. To my best of my abilities to be what they asked for. My guy friends were like, you cannot do this. They're going to ask for terrible, terrible sizes. And I'm like, really? Is that what you would do in an online public forum where everyone could read it? Not me, other men. Terrible other men are going to ask for terrible, awful, dirty, terrible things. I'm like, okay, all right, maybe. Then I'll do that. And they're like, oh my God. And my female friends are like, you're going to have to get a boob job. I'm like, really? Thanks. They're like, is that what meant you're going to have to change your hair? And I'm like, is that what meant? All men want that. And I started, maybe the media's wrong. Maybe men like a variety of things. It's possible, right? No, you're going to need to get a boob job. So I signed up for these 60 dating sites, and quite a few men went to my website, I think like 40 or 50, and described their perfect woman. And I had an interview with K-Gun9. I had 3 interviews with them, but it was the first one. And we had the interview, and she asked me, like, why are you doing this? And all those good questions. And at the end, when the mic was off, she said, I just want to tell you, you've changed my vision of men. These are like beautiful things they're asking. This is not what I thought this would be at all. I live in a really superficial world. And I was sure that they'd be like, oh, I need this and that. And instead, they're like, they wanted ephemeral things. They wanted like someone to be with. Like someone who, they're like, I really like redheads, but someone to play video games with would be really cool. Right? I want someone to go skydiving. They want, sometimes they just say, a list does not make a perfect woman. And I'm like, oh, really? Tell the internet that, because I'm not sure they're clear on it. Right? So I, put all the submissions were out there, and for each submission I would make a response of some sort of like what it would mean in my real world to be this woman that they asked for. I would like write a response like, well, this would be hard, or this I could do, or I think I would have to get boobed up for this one, and then sometimes they write back to you, and it was like a dialogue. It became a community dialogue. And a lot of people are like, so what's the perfect one? I'm like, well, they're all perfect for somebody. And so the voting, there was public voting, so people voted for their favorite submissions. And the guy who won, I could see the emails attached to the votes that they did, and I could actually see that a lot of the emails were from the same company. So I think somebody got all their friends to vote for them, which is kind of sweet. So that submission won, and I changed everything in my entire person to be his perfect woman. I changed my voice, and my body, and my attitude, and my hair, and my teeth. I got my teeth filled in, because he had specific women he thought were attractive. So I got my teeth done to match that, and my lips, and changed my hair color, my wardrobe, my personality for 2 months. Most of my friends really liked my project. So they're like, wow, you're naked on the campus, how cool! This one, they're like, no. And part of it was I was a different person. And one of my friends was, several of them were like, it's just the voice. And I was not me during that time. I'd be like, hi, Delia, nice to meet you. I'm like, oh my God. And so for 2 months, I was Delia. Strangely, I got hit on every single day, because apparently this is really cute. I don't know why it's so nice. And the little boys, and I was from Northern Michigan, I really want to get married and have some kids, and be really fun. I'm getting super shy right now. And so one of my friends was like, are you imitating my voice? I was like, no, God, actually, I didn't even think of you. And then another of my friends, this was after it was done, was like, were you making fun of my voice? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. So the one guy won, and I had him sign a contract, because I didn't want him to know, I don't want to trick anybody. I'm like, this is for entertainment purposes, I'm not going to be your girlfriend, it's going to be live on the internet, and there's going to be a camera crew. So if you're good with all that, come on down. And if you want to out, you need to give me a deadline, like, it's going to happen. So I flew him to Tucson, he was a total sport. We went on these dates with a camera crew, and I actually, online, people got to pick what we did on our date, because I wasn't making any decisions, I was a blank slate. Right? So we cooked spring rolls together, we went bowling, but our first date was a picnic in the park, and Cave Gun 9 came. And the interesting thing about his description, one of the things I really liked about it, is that he was so specific, it was very long. He specified height and weight, and not like, I had to be under 150 pounds, so poor Delia was dieting the whole time trying to get thinner, and it just never worked, but I really tried. And so, on the first date, one of the things he had said is, in his description was, if she has a mental illness, does not have a mental illness, or if she does, she's getting treatment for it. And I was like, that's really specific and actually not a bad idea. And yet he's going on this date with me. So anyway, on the date he mentioned that, his mom had mental illness, and I thought, oh, okay, so it's like you start to piece together like where we come up with these lists of things. And ultimately the dates were over and all the badness, and people watched online. It was lots of fun and interesting. And for me, it really was a transformation. I mean, it was this other person for 2 months. And I felt like, I even had moments where I was like sad because my friends kept snubbing me. And they weren't my friends, according to Delia, they were like strangers, but people were so rude, it was really mean. Because they'd be like, oh yeah, gotta go. So in the end, I asked the guy, I was like, do you want me to drive you back to the airport, or would you like Laura to? He said, I'd like to meet Laura. And so on the way back to the airport, I was like, so how was it? And he's like, she was perfect. And one of the things that happen on this is that, a lot of times I always feel like I have to go out in the world and deal with heavy subjects and solve problems and deal with cultural issues. And Julia wasn't like that. I'd just be driving around in the car, listening to music, and I heard this quote, and it changed all of the work I've done since then. And the quote was, it was Buckminster Fuller on talk radio. I never listened to talk radio, maybe I should, but it was, you don't affect change by protesting. You affect change by offering something that makes the old way obsolete.